Okay, so there's the intake all cleaned up and with one coat of primer. I don't know if I'm going to give it too many coats of primer. I might just give it some touch-up in spots. It doesn't look too bad, and it's aluminum anyway, so as much as anything, the primer is just for adhesion purposes. One problem with this intake, and I did see this, and I wasn't sure until after I blasted it, that it was pretty obvious this had one lug broken off of the runner for the intake. I'll just make sure that I goop lots of Permatex gasket goop on there, and it shouldn't blow out. There's not really any vacuum on a diesel engine anyways. By the way, that's the bell that told me 10 minutes has passed, so I can give this another coat. So I'll give this another coat, and I guess tomorrow night I'll give it a shot of black. And I'm just looking at this. There's still some meat left there, and I suppose I could go and weld a piece of plate on there and bore it out to what I need, but the serious reality of it is I don't think it matters that much. Okay, the only other thing that I've done today is just mounted some various fittings, bypass hose on the front. This alternator bracket is on here as well. I did do the fuel line on the weekend here. That's the color it came in. I didn't paint it that color, but unfortunately it's running a little bit close against the alternator bracket, so I'm going to have to probably pull the alternator bracket off again and just give it a slight little bend to put it a little bit lower. Hopefully that doesn't put it too close to things in here where it's already pretty tight against here. So I don't know. Really don't want to have to make another one. I could always put two bends in, a little less in it, bring it back up again. We'll see how it goes. Comes out at the back here where it'll connect up with the fuel filter, which is a little bit further back than it should have been, but I think that's acceptable. It's just connected with a rubber line anyways. Okay, so the intake has got 3 coats of the semi-gloss black on it. It's easier in cleaning, or trying to blast it clean or anything like that, just to clean all the grease off of it and prime and paint it. But what I'm working on right now is I'm running a tap through any of the holes in the block. And this is one of these things where it's just one of these cockeyed situations. Now, I did the exhaust manifold bolt holes, I should say. And these are number 10, or 10 millimeter, I should say, not number 10. These are 10 millimeter holes, but the engine mount holes are actually 3/8. So interesting that they did this mix of English and metric bolts on this engine as well. The bolts that attach the engine to the transmission are actually metric as well. They're 3/8 as well. In any case, it's good practice to run a tap through any of the holes before you reassemble the engine. Cleans all the garbage out of it and ensures that things aren't going to seize on you, that you'll get a good torque reading if it's something that requires torquing and that sort of situation. Now the exhaust manifold bolts, I will put some anti-seize on them. I'll check first to make sure that it's rated for a reasonably high temperature, but I'll put some anti-seize on those bolts just so that they don't lock into the block if I ever want to put something other than the stock manifold on it, or if I ever change over to a turbo. So there you go. That's just some bizarre thing that you find out as you're working on the engine. Okay, so end of today's, or I guess it's almost this week's update since it's Thursday. But I bolted up the exhaust manifolds, not permanently, no gasket, didn't even clean them up yet. But just thought I might have some chance to try and extract these studs here. But unfortunately they seem rather stubborn. I've already hit them with some penetrating oil, but they're not coming out. I think I'm going to just have to weld some nuts to them and try and extract them again. But I'll take them off before I weld any nuts on, but I'll do that tomorrow night. Apart from that, with all, You know, I'm hoping that this will be on tomorrow, but I realize that there's some of the injector line brackets that I haven't cleaned up yet. So I guess that probably won't get done tomorrow because they'll be drying up, blah, blah. Anyways, I'm heading in, and that's it for tonight.